Dale Earnhardt Jr. has joined us, and Dale, third in the points. Got a win a couple weeks ago at Michigan. He drives the number 88 Diet Mountain Dew National Guard Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Dale coming back to Kentucky Speedway for the second time in the Sprint Cup Series. Maybe talk about this racetrack and how it's different maybe than some of the other mile-and-a-halfs that you race on.
Well, it's a little rough, and the groove's not real distinct, so you know, it lends itself to good side-by-side racing, and the exit to turn 4 is really, really wide, so you know, you just kind of play around and find a groove that works for you. Every time you change tires, you kind of have to be ready to move around a little bit and find where your car's fast, where that set of tires wants to run on the racetrack. But it's we've tested here a lot, you know, way before when you know, when the rules were a little different and we could test here. We came here quite a bit and got a lot of laps here, and you know, didn't have a real strong car last year. I think we were running like 13th when we had a flat tire, and just kind of, you know, feel like we're a better team this year, so we're anticipating running, having a good weekend, and just ready to get after it.
Questions for Dale. We'll start here with Lee, and then we'll go to Woody.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. You're probably Matt's best friend in the garage. Can you kind of assess the situation of, I mean, you know how heartbreaking it can be to leave an organization, but then you also know how sometimes you have to take that move. Can you talk a little bit about Matt leaving?
Well, you know, I think that, you know, the only thing I could say is that as tough as it is, and as you know, as many unknowns as there are about a move like that, more often than not, things work themselves out. You end up, really kind of everybody ends up in a better place. And so I would, you know, I'd just be excited about the possibilities, and excited about a new chapter, you know, completely new surroundings and new people to work with, and you know, new ideas and innovation. So he should be, it'll be a little tough of a transition, just emotionally, and because he's, you know, been in the same place for so long. But eventually, it'll lead to better days, and you know, he'll find out that you know, things are going to work out just fine.
Let's go to Woody, and then we'll come over here to Marty. Go ahead, Woody.
Woody Kane with MRN. Dale, you've talked before about being kind of frustrated with the way the rules are, where plate races and Daytona in particular, that it takes so much of it out of your hands. Is there any reason to think things might be different this next time you go there, or things getting any better? How do you feel about that situation now?
I think things have gotten a lot better with the rules they made for this particular season. We're racing more, you know, we're driving, you know, we're not tandem drafting all the time, so your race really is in your own hands, and what you do with it and what you make of the afternoon is really up to you and you alone for most of the events. So I kind of like that, you know. That's the way I've always kind of thought racing should be, and racing's always been that way. We never, you know, we never had racing where, you know, you were so dependent on another car until we had the repaves at Daytona and Talladega, and tandem racing came around. That was just a, you know, I mean, it was okay to watch, and I think some of the drivers probably enjoyed it, but for me it was just the opposite of a driver's instincts. You know, everything you ever learn about racing, it was kind of the complete opposite of that as far as how you approach the event. So I didn't like it much, but you know, the rules have kind of moved away from that a little bit. Hopefully that's the way it stays. Hopefully we keep going in the right direction to get it to where, you know, it's you against 42 other guys, and and you know, that's the way it's been this year so far.
Let's go over here to Marty, and then we'll go to Bob, and then Tom. Go ahead, Marty.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Dale, when you make the decision to leave the team that you're with to go somewhere else, this, you know, early in the year when there's still plenty of racing left, what's the challenge like for you as a driver and for your team to move forward?
Well, I think it's it just comes down to integrity, and you know, if somebody's low on integrity in that deal, that they'll show themselves, and that'll be unfortunate for whoever that is. But I mean, I wouldn't anticipate that happening. They're a good team, and they'll probably use it in some way to motivate themselves. Matt's a really tough competitor, and I don't see this deterring his ambition and his will at all. I feel like that he has one of the most seasoned veteran crew chiefs in the garage that can manage his program and manage his guys to do the job and keep doing the job. They probably, you know, they'll probably work out just fine. But yeah, I mean, it does kind of test the personalities on board the ship a little bit. But I think that group will weather it just fine.
Let's go to Bob Pockrass, and then to Tom Jensen.
Bob Pockrass, Sporting News. This and Atlanta are the only two 1.5s left before the chase, and then you have 5 of those in the chase. So I'm curious, is there anything that you'd like to see this weekend as you kind of look forward to the chase? And in general, what type of steps, or would you like to see over the next 10 weeks as you get ready for the chase?
For us, our team, I think just like to, you know, we'd like to win another race. I enjoyed that one in Michigan, so we'd like to do that again. And it doesn't really matter where, but the 1.5s are important. But I don't really look at it. I mean, I don't really dissect the season like that. I just kind of, you know, I always start out really well, then I struggle in the summer, and then I do pretty well at the end of the season. And the tracks at the end of the season are really the same or similar tracks that we start the year with. So I just assume that I like those tracks or do well at those tracks. So I feel pretty comfortable about the chase and the tracks in the chase. You know, I didn't run as well as I thought I would here last year, and you know, I don't really know exactly why we didn't compete well, but I think we're better this year. So I'll be surprised if we don't run, you know, competitive and have a top 10 car at the least this weekend. If we don't, you know, if we don't have that kind of a competitive car, I'll be a little bit disappointed and concerned surely about where we're headed, what we're doing, and but we do that every week, really, kind of every race, no matter what the result, we sort of evaluate what we're doing with our cars, how we're setting them up, whether what we're doing is working, whether the path we're headed is the right path. So, I mean, you know, we kind of do that anyways. We're pretty critical of ourselves when it comes to the components and things we put under the car each week, and so we'll, you know, I feel like we just need to kind of maintain our course, and you know, I've struggled in the summer, and we've gotten off to a pretty good start aside from the road course race there in Sonoma. We've had a pretty good summer so far, so if we can keep that going, I'm going to be really excited about the rest of the season.
Tom Jensen, and then gentleman in the back row. Go ahead.
Dale, Tom Jensen, Speed.com. This is the first race at a 1.5 mile track with the new rules package. How do you think that's going to affect your cars, and are you concerned at all that Hendrick Motorsports as a group is going to lose any competitive advantage it may have had before?
No, I don't. I feel like that all the changes affect every team the same. I think that the changes to the side skirts are actually going kind of in my direction to help me. I like the cars to be, you know, sliding around and slick and up on top of the track and difficult to drive. And that's kind of going in that direction. It's taking a little bit of the comfort out. And I think it helps Jimmy too. And so as far as our garage, I know a lot about, you know, what Jimmy likes and what we're both kind of leaning towards with setups, and I think those changes are gonna won't bother us. I don't think too badly. Hopefully not. But we've already ran for a while with a little bit of that adjustment and seem to have done fine with it. But you know, the rule changes just sort of drive the teams to do more homework, and homework costs a little bit of money. So you know, when we're cutting the side skirts off the cars, the first thing a guy thinks about doing is, how do I get the side skirts back down on the ground? And so we have to go home and cut all the cars apart to really get them to travel further and do all kinds of things. So it's a, you know, it's a little bit of a catch-22, but I think that it's definitely the right direction to go in NASCAR's case, as far as trying to take, the cars need to become more mechanically dependent on grip than they are aero-wise. And I think that'll provide a better racing product.
Gentleman in the back row, and then Shannon. I promised him first, I'm sorry. And then, go ahead, Shannon. Okay. Go ahead, Shannon. Sorry.
Shannon Spake, ESPN. Recently, Tony Jr. has said that he felt some of the competitors on the Nationwide Series were putting Danica Patrick in bad situations because they didn't want to lose to a woman. What have you seen from those races? And is she getting closer to maybe being considered one of the guys?
Well, I think she is considered one of the guys to certain people. I think some people she either has a history with, or some guys don't respect anybody, no matter what their gender. But you know, everybody sort of goes through that. I think you could say Joey Logano went through that a little bit, where you know, he had to sort of put his foot down with guys shoving him around on the racetrack. I've probably went through that a little bit in my career at times. Every guy has to stand up for themselves at some point, and not just take notice of that individual they're in confrontation with, but really set the tone throughout the entire garage that they won't put up with it from anybody. And so I already, you know, me personally, when I first started hanging out with her and got to know her, I think even before I raced with her, I knew she wasn't the kind of person you run around pushing buttons with. Some guys don't see it that way, I guess, and push her around on the racetrack, and she'll just have to settle that however she wants. And you know, there's ways to do it. I mean, you got to be careful not to put yourself on their level or make yourself look like an idiot, or you know, you just can't go around pushing people back and spinning people into the wall all the time. But you know, there's ways. You know, you can talk to them people one-on-one or whatever you want to do, however you want to handle it. But I think she does a great job. I feel like that her demeanor, you know, just being around her in the garage and talking to her as a racer, her demeanor to me, you know, she doesn't come across to me as a pushover, and I don't see her that way on the racetrack. So I know that she's already, you know, sort of put her foot down a few times with Hornish and a couple guys. So I mean, she's not afraid to do it. I think that last week was unfortunate because Villeneuve doesn't have to worry about racing her this week, or when, you know, for a while anyways. But I told her that she was fast, that you can't be, you know, bothered with Villeneuve too much, because that was just, you know, kind of ignorant what he did, and you just kind of got to let that go. And every once in a while somebody's going to get a cheap shot you'll never be able to pay back. But she was really fast. I was so impressed with her speed in that race. She was running right in the middle of a bunch of ringers that I can't even keep up with on the road courses. So I'm excited to see her when she comes into the Cup circuit and goes to Watkins Glen and places like that, and because I think she could compete on any level at the road courses because of her background. So that was cool to see.
We got about 2 minutes left, so we'll just do what we can. Go ahead.
Ken Spencer, WHAS 11, Louisville. Dale, you talked a couple weeks ago how over the years you've become a more mature person. In what way do you think maybe that's made you a better race car driver, or has it even come close to making you a better race car driver?
I hope I get better. You don't really have a scale or any kind of way to measure, but I feel like that you always try to become smarter and use your head. I think when you first come into the sport, you just kind of go on guts, and then after a while you start using your brain a little bit more, and that kind of pays off. But I don't know. I think for sure Steve Letart's made me calmer and more productive in the car. He gets more out of me as a driver, brings the best out of me, however you want to say it. But he makes I'm better at completing races, putting together full races, not getting upset with the car, not getting frustrated and sort of botching the whole deal or sabotaging the race. Whatever, but he's brought a lot of good things out in me and brought a lot more confidence. I've got a lot more confidence. Confidence is half the battle when you're out there competing. If you don't have any confidence, man, you just can't get anything done. But so I don't know. I felt like you just get smarter. You just get a little more calm and controlled and in control of yourself, and that's if you can do that, you have to battle one, I guess.
Jared
Breeze, NASCAR.com. When Matt Kenseth was in here earlier, he said that contrary to popular belief that no mile and a halves are really alike. What sets Kentucky apart, and how do you approach racing the bumps, as it were?
Well, I mean, you just have to. With our cars, you got to get them close to the ground to get the best aero platform and downforce you can get, but you can't be on the ground too hard, and the bumps really kind of make that a challenge for the engineers. And you can't tell really with a bumpy track, the splitter's always banging on the ground, so you don't know. Really when you have to listen to the driver really when it comes to the bumpy tracks. He'll tell you, look, man, the splitter's bothering the car, making it tight. But so it's kind of tough. That's really a challenge. But I agree with Matt to an extent. All the mile and a halves are different in their own way. They got bumps in different places, and the radius and banking of the corners aren't all identical. The way some tracks are very wide, some mile and a halves are very wide in the corner where until they repaved it, Kansas was we'd run from the bottom all the way to the wall, and we don't really see that here, at least yet. So, I mean, they're all kind of different in their own way.
Dale, thanks a lot. Good luck
you.
this weekend.
Yep.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry we can't get to everybody, but he's got to get in a race car.